Alright. Hello, hello. This is Have You Done Music Today or Have You Done Music Yet for June 20th?
Episode 2.
Yes, much more professional one.
How
Pilots
was it
are.
more, how was it more professional? I gotta
It's
ask.
not a pilot.
Okay.
Speaking of things that are more professional, Lil Wayne has made a very incredible statement.
You wanna back that up a little bit?
Lil Wayne has made an incredible statement.
Alright.
He says he wants to release 7 albums next year.
Well, to clarify, he wants to release 2 albums after he releases the Carter 5. And then he has apparently enough material, or he has enough inspiration for, as he says, 7 more albums. Which,
My
in
question
a year.
My question for this is like, do mixtapes count? I don't know my hip hop much.
No, I don't. No, they don't. No.
There's no way they count as
Mixtapes are
albums.
completely separate. Like when Chameleonaire was huge, he was he was the mixtape messiah, but they didn't all his mixtapes they didn't count as albums.
All right, I just want to make sure about that one because I don't follow you in the hippity hops.
Well, he clarifies. I went to work on the Carter 5, and I don't stop working. So it was either the Carter 5 going to be 93 songs, or we gonna have to figure this out. What we said was we're gonna drop 2 albums this year, and then we go probably.
93?
So it was either the Carter 5 going to be 93 songs, or we're gonna have to figure this out. I mean, I'm sure that's exaggeration. What we said was we're gonna drop 2 albums this year, and then we go probably end up dropping like 7 next year.
How the fuck is he? He really is a human lizard. Because
Part of the Illuminati.
I can't understand. You reading that was like reading fucking Mark Twain vocalizing it because I didn't
That's
understand.
how it's written here.
That's how he said it, and I don't understand a goddamn word of it.
He feels inspired to create a whole crap ton of songs. I mean, granted, they're not the most complex of songs. Probably not. In fact, I don't know why this is on Ultimate Guitar to begin with, but
Don't put anything music news. He plays guitar. He's perfect cannon fodder.
Eh.
Cannon fodder. I do mean cannon fodder for that website. Like that's just where I get decent music news for metal, at least. It's all repost, but eh. All right. Korn's announced something kind of interesting. An extended edition of the Paradigm Shift.
which wasn't too bad.
Uh,
Well, certainly a lot better than their previous effort, which we won't get into.
yeah. The question is, what's making it extended?
One new song, or
Two.
probably more.
2.
At least
it's shown
2?
2. There's at least another song they've mentioned that was recorded during the sessions that wasn't on the album. And but the song they've mentioned, and it has radio play but not an official single release yet, is called, was it just Hater or Haters?
Yeah, it's Hater.
Hater. Jonathan Davis noted, in the world, everyone has haters. Everyone has someone who hates you on you because you have something they want. It's really like the first empowering song I've ever written.
You know, maybe the first song you've written, but not the first inspiring song that Korn has written.
And if the first song you've written that's inspiring is called Hate... Who the fuck are you? Fred Durst? That sounds like something Limp Bizkit would put out as a fucking, single.
Honestly, if they wanted to create an inspiring song, I'd rather they just do something like Hold On Again, which is honestly a rather positive song from that kind of a band, and one of my favorites, and it's not something that gets mentioned often about the band. It's actually, if you delve into the history of that song, it's actually really heartfelt.
My favorite song by Korn's Adidas, so
Well, that
I,
just says a lot, doesn't it?
I don't look to them for inspiration. Though I do have some of the lyrics. You can't bring me down. I ride a downward spiral round and round. I'm picking and choosing. Don't ever bring me down. These are we sure this isn't a Limp Bizkit song?
Pretty sure.
My God. And now the important music news. YouTube's new upcoming policy.
Oh yes, this has been kind of in the works for a while.
Yeah, and from the sound of it, it's still going to be in the works for a while longer, but they've signed with something like 90% of labels, which basically means what? Warner and EMI. Warner? Warner and Sony have agreed to it, and that's 90% of music, I think.
Pretty much. Well, I believe also the European labels and stuff like that, not just American labels. Because I don't think Warner or Sony own Nuclear Blast or.
No. That's one. Nuclear Blast is an independent label. So is Metal Blade. So is
Right.
There's a bunch when we get to Metal, like Earache's independent too.
Right.
And they are in the 10% that would be worrisome because they're not. They're the ones who have to care. They're the ones. They're smaller. They don't have billion-dollar revenues from pop starlets or Avicii. Apparently, he topped Spotify's 25 under 25 or some shit. I'd be more worried about cursing in this because I do try to want to avoid that, but later there's a song we rule the world motherfuckers we're going to be talking about, so
I mean, I don't think we really had any conniptions going into this anyway. But music on YouTube has always been kind of a funky situation.
yeah,
and it's kind of weird that how YouTube is wording this. They're actually very passionate about YouTube being a almost becoming a music platform at this point.
I honestly don't think YouTube's the one behind this.
I imagine not.
I think the whole 90% thing is basically them giving away that the RIAA is pushing them toward it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not good. That's not good for anybody.
No. It's just one of those things that it had to be dealt with eventually, because you've had people post like videos of that kind of stuff all over YouTube, all sorts of bands, all sorts of songs, and it's not something you can necessarily stop unless you put some sort of a hard sort of threshold.
The
like
content ID thing was working for it because an artist already could just.
Not really. Explicitly, not really.
Well, not content ID, but artists can, and a lot of the bigger labels have been known to just monetize all the videos of their songs, or leave them unmonetized, because they kind of get that, like, not a lot of people genuinely use YouTube for music. But I'm thinking the RIAA thinks is still one.
No, I'm pretty sure they do. Pretty sure a vast majority of people who use YouTube use it as a music video platform. I would be very confident in that.
Okay,
if not a music video platform, then just a music platform in general.
I'll give you a music video platform, but like, I don't maybe I'm just too old to understand if you're using if your primary source of
Gangnam
music
Style
YouTube.
just hit its 2 billionth hit. I think people are a little invested in YouTube as a music platform.
Music video platform. Then again, I'm too old for this shit, apparently.
You're a year younger than me.
I know, but apparently I need to join up with Roger Waters and start boycotting the internet distribution services. Because I don't understand why you'd want to use YouTube for all your music needs. Like, the fact that I This is one of the few cases where I think the RIAA has the brink of a good idea, and is gonna.
It's not a bad idea. It's certainly one of their better solutions.
But it's gonna ruin a lot of
But
things and puts puts the growth of the industry at risk. Like, amongst other things, like I'll hate to bring it up, but Bieber got his start, and he's now like $1 billion industry. Machine Head was auditioning bassists through YouTube.
And right now we're in the swing of a humongous indie explosion. All sorts of independent artists are getting their names brought out there, and it's
through YouTube.
Once these like starlets, from YouTube and from other avenues too. Once these starlets fall away, once these huge multi-million dollar artists fall away, they're gonna have a bunch of new people to replace them. But if they don't join the new labels, and if the labels they do get on don't join the service, again, YouTube is one of the biggest platforms for music. If like it or not, believe it or not,
we are in a day where the RIA is pretty well known at this point for they don't treat artists well.
No, they don't.
And nor do their labels. And this is becoming a pretty big notable thing on this one.
It's not like the situation has worsened, but it's not gotten better. This is just another sort of step that's going to happen.
I think this I think this does make the situation worse. It puts a lot more strain on labels like Seasons of Mist or Nuclear Blast or any of them that aren't signed up with the other larger labels.
I'm pretty sure they're going to bow down eventually to that.
I'm sure they'll all join it. Not like every label, because not literally every label could afford it, but...
Oh, right. Seasons of Mist, Nuclear Blast, they're pretty big labels, but they're not labels within the U.S. They're not under the big two.
Season of Mist is.
Season of Mist is?
Yeah. Yeah, there are... So is Metal Blade, and I think so is Earache. I know.
Yeah, those I knew. I thought Season of Mist was like an American branch of another one, though.
Nah. Yeah, because...
I'm probably wrong.
I think Season of Mist was... I don't remember who founded them.
I think we kind of exhausted that topic, although honestly we could probably talk a lot more about it, give it a little bit more impetus.
It will help curb piracy at least, if only because... Okay, the kind of piracy that they think... The kind of piracy that Phil Fish talks about.
It's,
Haha! I can't even go into this without talking about him. But, it's not gonna... It's definitely not gonna help that as an overall thing. It's probably... Actually, no, it will help it. Just not in the way they want.
Yeah.
To ensure all content on the platform is governed by its new contractual terms. You don't have to make people pay to do that. You know, that's called an EULA. Those are contracts. Binding contracts to be perfectly genuine.
That's kind of what this is, though. It's a...
Yeah, except now you have to pay money to be involved in the contract, which is kind of the problem there. Comparing it to an EULA. I sign an EULA every time I buy a new video game. But this is another deal entirely. It's almost extortion, to be perfectly honest.
You could call it extortion. Yeah, I suppose, but it's just a really tricky topic. There's never going to be a perfect solution
Yeah.
because music fandom is growing. Liking music is pretty much a universal thing by now.
Yeah.
It's just
but the sales
we can
aren't
distribute it in the
growing.
most fair way for the labels, the producers, the artists, the engineers, the audience.
And the
What's
sales
going to make
aren't.
it fair to everybody?
And one thing of note is that the sales are not growing, though.
Mm.
Well, they are compared to where they were, like, when Napster was around, but, like, compared to the 90s, you know, the 90s were an era where people had platinum albums that were considered failures.
Because they didn't have reliable digital distribution at that point, and as far as I know, digital distribution doesn't really count towards record thresholds.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm not sure how, Billboard counts them in, to be honest. That's an awkward situation, because the RIAA and MPAA are just so far behind. They're just...
Technology is moving too fast for them, and that's how it's been for the past 5 to 10 years.
That's how it's been for the
15.
last 20, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, technology was moving too fast for them when Tipper Gore was making waves, and then Nirvana honestly kept everything kind of smooth for a bit by focusing on really shitty guitars. Thank you, Nirvana, for bringing back garage bands for like 10 minutes. That was needed.
Well, we still got the hallmarks from that period. They're just not in the public mindset right now.
They're not selling millions of an album featuring a baby's penis on the album cover.
No, not really. Nor are we getting the Scorpions again, but that's not the issue.
Yeah, we're not getting that either. Goodness, we're gonna have to wait and see to really see where this YouTube thing goes, though, because it's not even. I don't think it's really close to being implemented yet, so
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see.
The first blocks are expected to drop within just a few days. The service isn't going to be launched, but the blocks are. Which...
Okay, at this point, you are trying to be the YouTube has changed my tune, because I didn't realize that one.
It's the very last line.
Well, that explains why I didn't catch it. At that point, they are doing what Apple is doing.
Yeah.
Someone in here is wanting to make a walled garden. Someone is wanting to be an arbiter of my tastes. And that is not good. They're wanting to control what people like. And I don't have kind words for people like that. It is going to be a really, really bad time.
It's going to be an interesting next couple of years, that's for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Would you like to move on to Greener Pastures?
Yeah, let's talk about an album that I liked. Well, I recommended it. Combichrist album from this year, We Love You. I don't remember the exact release date. It's been out like a couple months, and I don't have I don't really care to look it up. It doesn't matter.
We're such professionals.
The real release date doesn't matter. It's 2014. And this is a very interesting album to listen to me as a
It was to me as well.
it was very interesting for me as someone who's pretty much heard the entire discography of Andy LaPlagua, the man behind Combichrist. I've listened to about at least all of the work of half the bands he's worked with. He's been the main member of. So I'll let you lead off because, well, I can tie things in.
Yeah, you recommended this album to me a couple, like last week when we were prepping for this particular episode, and it only took me until now, because that's kind of how I am apparently, to actually listen to it. Sat down, listened to the first song, and I was actually really getting into it. Because I mean, I'm not like I'm not super into techno or anything like that, or any sort of genre like that, like sort of like hard industrial. But I was actually really getting into it because it was, especially with because I like not really like existentialism, but I guess the sort of awe. I don't know. It's the mood it presented kind of attached to me, and I was going with it for a couple tracks, but then it was like right in the middle of the album where it just seemed to kind of veer in like a really, the tone shifted, and I was just like, oh no, I can't listen to this. Because after a while, it just seems like it's droning.
Let me look at this list.
Kind of.
Middle of the album. If you look through the track list, could you give a song idea? Because I wanna. I'll give my points about it. Because
the new Mariah Carey album. No. Sorry, I just popped up on Spotify.
Because
what the hell is this? No. Most played artists: Linkin Park and Opeth. Oh dear. I didn't. What? We Love You Deluxe. Right after Denial. Denial and The Evil in Me.
Were the droning one?
I couldn't get through those.
I could.
Especially Denial. It just felt flat. Absolutely flat to me. It may just be...
Alright. Combichrist did have an album last year. Combichrist did the soundtrack for DMC, Devil May Cry. Developed by Ninja Theory, published by Capcom. And coming into this album, knowing that, yes, I can hear it. It really does sound like there's a lot of a lingering influence from working with Noisia and a couple other artists there. Andy Lapuagua is known for, he's worked with a bunch of genres, including several different punk and metal genres, and it's working its way more into Combichrist, which as an agrotech group was already pretty heavy to begin with, more and more.
Yeah.
But this one's the heaviest work. I'd still call it agrotech, but I saw one review that just straight up said he's making electronic heavy metal, and he really,
I can hear that.
He really is. Like, it is rather different than a lot of it. It's a lot more aggressive and more instrumental, like actual instruments rather than techno sounds compared to...
That's kind of the thing, though. It's very weird. I can get very attached to a melody, and I can get very attached to lyrics. And from what little Combichrist I have heard, this album in particular does seem to have a little bit more emphasis on both, but in the wrong direction for me, if that makes any sense at all.
Honestly, I know which one to recommend to you now that you've made that statement, but I probably still wouldn't do it, because this is not the most lyrical album, I'd say. I'd say that's the previous one, Making Monsters.
Again, it feels like it's...
But,
emphasis in the wrong direction.
Alright. Now, my question to you is, what did you think your favorite song was on this?
Either We Were Made to Love You or Love is a Razor Blade, which is kind of weird because they're both love in it. That's interesting. That's a complete coincidence, but... Yeah, that's.
I honestly really, really like everything from Fuck Unicorns to the end. Just the moment Fuck Unicorns hit, it's just that it's aggro tech, but now they're starting a little IDM mix coming in, and I love
Yeah,
both those genres.
Yeah, it actually did feel like a little bit of a tonal change from The Evil in Me onwards. Like, Love is a Razor Blade actually started that sort of tonal shift, and I could get into it a little bit more, but as Retreat Hell just kept going on, I was just like, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
Retreat Hell Part 2 is so long.
Yeah, I'm done.
Like 6 minutes in, I'm just like, why aren't you talking anymore? That was at least interesting.
Actually, funny thing, as I was listening to this album, because I didn't have it in the window on Spotify, I didn't have it open on my computer. I was just reading some articles, and I was just like, man, this album's been going on forever. How long has it been? It's on track 5. The other tracks are less than 4 minutes long. It's like, it feels like it's going to be going on for like half an hour. It's only been like 15 minutes.
Alright, lyrically, you mentioned that direction. It just hit me. You don't want to know what's, previously, Combichrist has taken some flack for releasing songs that were kind of misogynistic. His defense, he writes his music in character. And if listening to as much of his music as I have, he does indeed. That is an actual working defense. Combichrist is a completely different character than Scandi or Pans or AG or there's a bunch of other ones that I don't remember the name to. And this character is definitely the character who writes a song like Fuck Machine.
I was just never a fan of using a character as a platform as like an acting platform for
music.
I don't. Yeah, no, yeah, but especially for like more controversial views, like
it's not
like
even
the Bear Rapport is one thing, but I don't like it for music. It's just
Meanwhile, I'll sit here and listen to Guar all day, every day. Which is nothing but character.
Gore is Gore. You can't. Yeah.
Guar has their own mythos.
They've made that very clear from the beginning. And I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, like, oh, if you're gonna make it a little bit more vague and then go, oh, no, I was just playing a character. And then,
no, the thing is...
maybe you're right, but
he is, because you can clearly hear it from, like, when you can listen to the other songs, it doesn't match the other bands. It doesn't match the persona shown in there. Kind of like how Devin Townsend used to do Strapping Young Lad in the Devin Townsend Project. And,
yeah.
And he stopped when he realized, oh, I'm bipolar, and that's what makes me with the Strapping Young Lad music. So, it's kind of like that, except without the mental disorder.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I would not say it's a bad album.
I really like it.
Aggro.
I really like it. It's not my favorite of their albums. Honestly, straight up, this is probably my least favorite Combichrist album.
Ooh, what? Ew.
Yeah, like, Today We Are All Demons is really, really great. Making Monsters is interesting. Everybody Hates You and What the Fuck Is Wrong With You People are so they're What the Fuck Is Wrong With You People is the album that makes me completely buy the whole this is in character. When you're writing songs like "Give Head If You Got It," which is not a. It's got some interesting lyrics.
You want to talk about less awkward albums? Well, I don't know. You want to talk about less awkward albums?
I don't know. You know what I want to talk about? Music from our past. Specifically yours.
I kind of want to tie this into a recent album, actually. So let's start from that first. Well, apparently, according to Spotify, my most listened artist is Linkin Park.
Where do you find that?
I don't know. I just clicked a button randomly, and then, oh, here's your most played is Linkin Park and Opeth. Apparently, but yeah. Before I go into my song of my youth, which is linked to this, I will. Actually, I can link it quite well. Linkin Park's latest album just came out last Tuesday. Yeah, last Tuesday. And I am forgetting the name of it. Wow, I am so good at this. The Hunting Party. The Hunting Party. And I was, so kind of am, a fan of Linkin Park. Not ironically. I do like their first two albums quite a lot. Well, except for a couple songs, but that's kind of, well, you take it with the territory. But they have gone in a different direction, starting from around 1,000, like right after Minutes to Midnight. Then they kind of fold around a little bit, and then they did 1,000 Suns, which was a very progressive direction instead of their new metal, rap metal sort of direction. It was a more progressive rock, pop, rock stuff. I wasn't a fan of it. It just sounded very floaty. It sounded very experimental. It was like an experiment that you just kind of wanted to do because it sounded different. I kind of understand that, but it just didn't feel like Linkin Park to me. But then they've had a couple albums since then, and now we have The Hunting Party, which is a little bit more of that, but with a little bit more emphasis on the classic material. I still feel it doesn't work. It's an album that... Okay. One thing I have to bring up first. They bring a few featurettes on here. They bring... Where are you? I need to double check this. On The Hunting Party, they bring Darren Malakian from System of a Down, who contributed to probably the best song on the album, Rebellion, because it sounds exactly like a System of a Down song. Because Darren pretty much just takes over that entire guitar track. And I have no problem with that. Guilty All the Same, which was one of their singles featuring Rakim, who, of course, is a rapper, and doesn't really do that much, but he brings that sort of classic Linkin Park dynamic in there, which is very appreciated. It still sounds like New Park, but it's a good blend, I think. Especially with how the guitar lines go. Paige Hamilton, featured on All for Nothing, which was okay.
Wait, Paige Hamilton?
Yeah, Paige Hamilton on All for Nothing, which is their second track. Which, I mean, it's there. Doesn't feel much. And then they get Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine on their 10th track, Drawbar, which is 2 minutes and 47 seconds of piano.
At least
I looked it up. Tom Morello is apparently an accomplished pianist as well. So, actually quite a multi-instrumentalist. However, he is ranked among most publications as the 40th greatest guitarist in the world.
He is a good
You
guitarist.
have a rapper in your band. Tom Morello comes from a band whose main vocalist rapped. You just had a song 2 tracks back where Darren Malakian played guitar for your 2 vocalists who sounded a lot like Serge. why don't you have Tom Morello play guitars while Shinoda raps and make a rage song? You're already trying to make like 5 different genres on this album. Why don't you just do that? But the thing is, it's kind of what Linkin Park does a lot of the time, and what they did with a lot of their older albums was they have like an instrumental or a more like laid back play with the instruments sort of track that, especially when they had a Phoenix in a lot more of a prominent role. I miss that. Jeez. And Mr. Hahn and all that. Oh yeah, especially Mr. Hahn. That dude was amazing on the tables. I just don't. It's just like they just grabbed people and then they tried to make like 17 different genres and just mash them together.
Yeah.
And then like every song has like this weird.
Real quick, full disclosure. I'm so quiet because I genuinely haven't listened to. What year's the song that you want to bring up from your youth from?
2005.
I probably haven't listened to a Linkin Park song since.
Well, it's not a Linkin Park song. It's close.
Yeah, that's why I have so little to say on this. I'm sitting here and trying to save every song I've listened to on Spotify, and
Okay.
that's 20-some thousand.
But yeah, the reason I bring up the whole like rapper thing is because Linkin Park has had a good rapper in their band forever, Mike Shinoda, who used to have a side project called Fort Minor. Said side project, I believe, only had one album, but from that one album, they had one of my favorite songs from 2005, Remember the Name. That is my song of the youth.
What's it about? Because I've never heard of any of this shit, so you will have to inform me.
Whoa. Oh, okay. Stop what you're doing. That's not how to spell that name. You have not listened to this song before?
What was it called?
Remember the Name by Fort Minor, featuring Styles of Beyond. You've heard this before. I know you have.
Hold on.
From the first 10 seconds, I know you have heard it. It's one of the most recognizable strains in basically early to mid 2000s rap.
Oh, I'm gonna have to mute system. I can't listen to it right now.
Okay then, we'll
wait.
have
Yes,
to discuss this later.
Yes, I can.
Oh, really?
I can at least.
Alright.
Let me at least try to hear the opening strains that you claim are so things, because their use gives me at least 10 seconds. And everyone else can suck it. Oh yeah, I have heard that. Don't remember anything about it, but I have heard it. Yes.
But yeah, it's basically it's sort of a basic introductory charisma track, brag track for Mike Shinoda, with the backing group Styles of Beyond supporting him with their individual members as well. I have not heard this in full in like the past 5 to 6 years. I can boot this up and I can recite every single word in every single dialect that's used. It's a song I've listened to probably hundreds of times at this point. It's one of my favorite rap songs, actually.
I'm like that with Slayer albums. I'm like that with Slayer albums. When I was going to high school, it was at least twice a week. While sitting on the bus going there, I would listen to the entirety of Rain and Blood. Because it's only.
It's
just because it's like a 30-minute album, and that's how long a bus ride is. The bus ride was, so it was just like boom. I got real used to that, and I can still tell you damn near every fucking word on that album, except the ones in Jesus Saves, because I can't figure out that fucking album, that fucking song.
No, yeah, I would try that one. No.
That's some fast shit.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it kind of got me to thinking, like, why, especially now 10 years on, why Mike Shinoda hasn't tried to do something like this again. Because he is a proficient rapper, as much as people want to kind of want to slam him for being part of Linkin Park. I don't think he was tethered by anything. I just think he was just too busy with how the band was blossoming in popularity. It still feels like a lost opportunity sometimes. Just, I mean, I know he's made mention of wanting to go back with these guys before. I mean, there's no, like, animosity or anything. But just, like, one album, just another album where Mike Shinoda raps independent of Linkin Park would be so good. Maybe there is one out there, I don't know, but I just want Fort Minor back. Songs of my youth. On that depressing note.
Yeah, on that very depressing note. That's where we're gonna cut it today. Hope you had fun.
We're having so much fun.
It's Scott's choice next week for what album we review. So that'll be a fun thing.
Okie doke. Want to keep it to 2014, or what do you want to do? This is all new territory to me.
I kept it to 2014 to expand genres at this point. You got a 2014 rap album?
I can find... Yes. The Roots, and then you shoot your cousin.
Alright, next week.
Until next time.
Bye.